Hello and welcome to the Dyorama. We're thrilled to be here today. My name is Ali and I'm joined with my co-founders Nureen and Youssef. And we're so excited to share with you what the Dyorama is about and the journey that we've been on. Nureen and Youssef, please.
Hey everyone, we're really excited to share about what's been brewing behind the scenes at the Diorama.
Yep, super excited to uncover it in details and get you on this journey with us.
So, the Diorama is all about exploring this dynamic intersection of creativity, hospitality, and business, focusing on the MENA region. Today, we'll share why we're so passionate about this space, the challenges that we face along the way, and what's coming next. So, let's start off with some introductions. My background spans research, risk, and media. I've also launched an F&B concept in Egypt. I grew that with my sister. And along the way, I earned a diploma in hospitality concepts and development from EHL. I often found myself searching for meaningful inspirations, right? Creative ventures, and in-depth insights online that are also data-driven, right? So not just that one side of analysis, but also looking into the numbers themselves.
Right.
I felt like there was a need for a platform that truly represented our region and our perspective, and the realization became the driving force behind the Diorama as a brand.
Thanks, Ali. In terms of my career, it's been a mix of tech, storytelling, thought leadership with a particular focus on the MENA region. And for me, the Diorama is really about channeling my experience and passion and showcasing the amazing creativity that's coming out of the Middle East and North Africa.
I spent most of my career in real estate development and hospitality consulting. I've worked with some of the most notable clients in the region, from sovereign wealth funds to master developers to urban planners, on basically conceptualizing some of the most disruptive hospitality concepts in this region. What I mostly spent most of my time on with them is conceptualizing all of these groundbreaking concepts, but also building the feasibility study, because at the end of the day, we got to make sure that these concepts actually make sense and they're implementable, right?
So I think it's pretty evident that each of us brings like a diverse background and a palette of some sorts to the table, right? So let's dive into how the Diorama was born as a concept. And I think initially it really started off with trying to balance that kind of right side or right left brain kind of thinking with creativity and data driven insights. And I think this is what we really want to talk about, right? So how do we combine the art of storytelling through the written word, but also looking at design, data driven insights. It's this intersection really that enables the ideas to be inspiring and doable or feasible. What inspired us, I think, is how the principles of hospitality can be used as a blueprint for creating those exceptional brands or brand experiences at large. Noreen, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Hospitality in the end is inherently about human connection. It's about anticipating needs, it's about evoking emotion and crafting memorable moments. And these are the same principles that elevate brand strategies in terms of transforming these interactions into immersive and meaningful experiences. What am I, as a consumer, going to walk away from this experience with? What's my takeaway? And we found ourselves really searching for the resources that offered both the inspiration along with the practical insights, and we just couldn't find what we were looking for. So we decided to create it ourselves, and ultimately what we're seeing is a rapid transformation in the region and a need for a platform that explores this dynamic intersection of creativity and hospitality, but at the same time not forgetting that we have a global audience, and that is investors who are trying to better understand the region and the opportunities that it has. And we really want to bridge between that appetite of investment with the local creators who are creating such amazing and inspiring concepts and innovating them as well.
Homegrown concepts. I would say.
Homegrown
This is
concepts.
it's a key word for us as well. Is we really want to highlight. And I think you said it perfectly. I think the MENA region is changing so quickly, right? Rapidly, culturally, economically, socially, and creativity and hospitality are obviously key drivers of this transformation.
Exactly. And the region is full of all of these untapped stories, these projects that are redefining how people understand the culture of our region and how we choose to represent our culture through design as well. And there are experiences now that are so rooted in the heritage of the Middle East and North Africa region, but with this play and a modern twist to it. So really what we're trying to do is showcase and shed a light on these stories and shed a light on the stories of the creators and how they came up with these innovative concepts and share it with the world, not just the region.
I think you guys have touched most in all the points beautifully. And I think just the one thing that I could maybe add is to what inspired really the birth of the Dyorama as well is how did these innovators bring those concepts to life? I don't think there's a platform here today that does that well, that sheds the light on, you know, the regulatory frameworks or the business models, or shedding just a little bit of light on the feasibility studies of all of these concepts and how they were brought into life. And I think collectively we were so interested about these projects, but we wanted to really delve deep into how they were brought into life, and that's what really inspired our project here together.
I think just let's bring it into our mission and vision
Yeah.
as a brand and what we want to achieve. I think at its core, and we've been working on this for a few months now, right? So the Dyorama is all about inspiring and empowering creators in the region, but also leaders and executives and government officials with actionable insights they can use. So we aim to connect these creatives with the opportunities that exist, investors with the right insights, and ideas with execution. Obviously, uncovering and hopefully inspiring along the way, all of these different stakeholders in this space. Nureen, how would you describe our mission?
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the three of us come together because we're all very impact driven when it comes to what we're trying to do with the Dyorama. And every story that we're sharing with you is really a call to action. It's about helping an entrepreneur develop their concept further and take it to the next level. It's about showing an investor the potential of the projects that we're seeing out in the region, what's emerging, or just the region as a whole is worth investing in. And I think that's something that we're really trying to establish through every edition that we put out.
I think to also, an additional point on this is we want to become the primary source of information when it comes to this very dynamic industry, when it comes to creativity, hospitality, and overall the experience economy. I think with our take on the different news that are out there, whether it's through the deep dive, whether it's through the Doro articles, the insightful articles, or whether it's our take on this week's curation, it'll bring on a very interesting angle, and then hopefully we can become, like I said, the primary source of information within this very dynamic industry of that combines creativity, hospitality, and the experience economy. And I think we're going to be doing this quite well when it comes to the content that we're going to be publishing and sharing, whether it's the deep dives, whether it's the interviews, whether it's the small news curations. And I think with our interesting angle, we can really bolster this whole movement of the industry within our region that I think we've talked about this multiple times, that is going through a true renaissance when it comes to this whole dynamic industry.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about, in the last few months and just based on what you just said, right? So challenges and some of the limitations or lessons that we've learned along the way. And, we've been working on this for a few months now. Yeah. We've gone through, interviews or asking people for interviews and, cold messaging someone for an interview. I can tell you how difficult that is. But Nureen, do you feel like anything kind of like stood up for you personally?
Of course. I think from an editorial perspective, something that we've all been really trying to nail is our voice, right? We see a media landscape in the region right now that's very crowded. And we see that a lot of these concepts that we're drawing inspiration from are being put out there, but we're just scratching the surface when it comes to it. So for us, we really wanted to establish a niche when it came to our voice and the lens that we were using to take a look at all of these concepts, and make sure that what we're sharing are fresh takes, things that people aren't really seeing anywhere else, and kind of curating the information in a way that we become the go-to source for them on all related to the hospitality, experience economy, the whole, like everything that intersects there as well. So I think for me, it's all about maintaining that voice as well, and making sure that our curation ethos, as Youssef was talking to us earlier today, is well maintained and very clear to our audience.
100%.
And I think it is an interesting challenge to be a grassroots kind of like media company that's, you know, we're fighting the big boys in this space, and what we're trying to do is carve something for ourselves as well,
Yes.
and be the voice for to bridge those creators and innovators with the right people or the right audience.
Of course.
I think that was really well said, and I think this actually leads us to another key point is, you know, what to expect. So what should the audience expect moving forward if they decide to subscribe and be with us on this journey? What should they expect? So before we dive into that, I just wanted to kind of quickly highlight some of the big pillars, right? Big pillars that we've been working on, that we've put together for our audience, and what we focus on at the Dyorama. So our content obviously spans a wide range of topics, right? So all connected by shared focus on this dynamic intersection that we've discussed multiple times. What do you can you share a little bit about that, Nureen?
Yeah, I think one area we're really passionate about is placemaking, highlighting those designers, the architects, the urban planners who are really rethinking spaces and how these spaces bring people together. I think we're seeing a lot more of that in the region as well, in terms of how people think about walkability in a city, for example. So we're also diving into experiential travel, examining how transformative journeys are reshaping the region. And I think what we're seeing as a key development in the region is that the MENA region as a destination is being redefined. And that's really what we're hoping to cover.
No, I think the biggest thing to expect, and we've, you know, stressed upon this a lot, is the so what, right? We are targeting a very sophisticated audience, from the industry professionals to the investors to the thought leaders. And I think the so what is those actionable insights that we're going to come up with. It's not just scratching the surface with news. It's delving deep into the business models, delving deep into the operating models, delving deep into the financials, having these, interviews with these concept creators to really understand the ins and the outs of their businesses, really understanding the regulatory frameworks that they've operated in or they operate in. And I think this is what's going to really help us add value to the audience that we're
100%.
catering to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also, you know, just to follow up on that, I think another exciting focus that we have is essentially the individuals crafting, these one-of-a-kind experiences, right? So when we talk about immersive events, when we talk about cutting-edge experiential retail, or, luxury retail, or how retail in hotels are being reinvented, I think this is all about making the intangible a bit more tangible, and that's what we want to kind of bring forward. Like, so how do we make that connection and emotion through design and storytelling? And I think that is by definition what hospitality is. It's all about human connection and putting the human element at the heart of everything. And I think, you know, the MENA region is doing that quite well now, and we're reclaiming that narrative even more.
I like what you just said, reclaiming the narrative. And I think that's what we're trying to do with all these interviews with thought leaders, particularly, is trying to make sure that we're humanizing a lot of the work that's being put into these projects, these concepts, how people are rethinking the MENA region as a destination and how they want to present it to the world. That's a whole story on its own that can be broken apart into so many different pieces. And that's really what we want to do, is break it down, make it more digestible. You said it yourself, Ali, this idea of making the intangible a bit more tangible. These are the stories that we're trying to share, and this is what we're hoping learn more from our readers about what stories they really want to see, but as well, we're trying to tap into the stories that are not being told.
Very well said.
No, I think I love the point that you guys have touched upon, is, again, bringing the intangibles to tangibles. And like I said earlier, it's helping bringing these concepts to life. And that's the one thing that I'm really looking forward to, is delving into the ins and the outs of all of these businesses, and potentially supporting these entrepreneurs and putting their business cases together, putting their pitch decks together. And then once we penetrate this ecosystem even more, connecting all of these different entrepreneurs with the right investors to, again, bring these concepts to life and turning the intangible into a tangible. So those deep dives, those case studies, those in-depth interviews is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that I don't want to give too much away, but we've had some really good interviews already with some really interesting figures from within the region.
Yeah.
And each one of them brought forward a certain flavor, right? So whether it's an interesting concept that's being introduced in the GCC, or someone who's deep diving into experiential retail, or experiential travel. All of these different things is sometimes they collide, and there's like there's a thin line between all of them. And I think this is what we really want to focus on moving forward. And that's it. Thank you for joining us on this episode. I hope this gave you a glimpse into what we're about. It was super interesting for us to sit together and talk about this in front of all of the expected audience.
And make sure you follow us on our socials, and don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter at thedyorama.com. It's coming out weekly. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas as well, to make sure that we're putting out the content that you're interested in and that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And if you're definitely passionate as much as we are about this dynamic space, feel free to definitely share this conversation with your friends.